Hello, everybody. Welcome to Townsend 909, or welcome back if you're a lovely viewer. Today, me and Jason, the old millennial, we have finished our Simon and Garfunkel series. Yeah, 5 albums, and I think did like one album per month. Uh, I was talking to him like because we're doing the Kinks next, and I'm like, yeah, we probably should do a little more than an album a month because if we did an album
Yeah,
a month for the Kinks, we wouldn't be done until 2 years. That
yeah,
23 albums.
yeah,
But I mean, great studio albums. I mean, even though they just had five, I mean, mostly great songs, very few filler. Well, first we'll be going over the retrospective, like what we thought they did right, what we didn't like, and yeah. You have anything to say, Jason?
I mean, I feel like I've said so much about Simon and Garfunkel. I just inducted them into our Music Hall of Fame. They were my first pick, my first inductee, uh, for a reason. They're one of my favorite groups of all time. And I mean, how many songs are on the radio from Simon and Garfunkel? Like, uh, I don't know, 15? I don't know, 10? I don't know. Uh,
And
there maybe that's a lot, but I mean it's just crazy like growing up listening to 60s music. They're definitely one of the groups that I've listened to the most outside, like the Beatles. Um and it's just, yeah, crazy when you listen to all their albums and just go, man, like they didn't make a bad album. It's pretty incredible. I mean, to look at going through their discography. Um and yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything they did wrong necessarily. I don't know, when you said that, I was like, they definitely did a lot right. um, Obviously, the harmonies, the duo vocals from the two are just absolutely fantastic. I think maybe best, like Sound of Silence, Scarborough Fair. You really hear those harmonies really, really good. And to me, they're the best duo of all time. If I would have to rank like best duos, um, for a very good reason. I mean, Paul Simon, probably one of the best songwriters of all time, um, and really good guitar player, probably an underrated guitar player. Uh, when you listen to like Mrs. Robinson and America, and I don't know, because he's an acoustic guitar player, he's probably not on a list of like great guitar players, but he's absolutely fantastic. Anyways, and yeah, I don't know what else to say except they're one of the greats.
yeah, I have to agree. There's very few wrongs than there is rights. Uh, I mean, with when me and Briar did our birds video, we had a lot of good things to say, but at the same time, we had a lot of bad things to say. Like we had a lot of like, maybe if we did this or did that.
Yeah,
Not much with Nick Garfunkel. I like.
yeah.
I had a lot of critiques for the birds because, well, they had a lot more albums, but they had I don't
Well,
know.
they changed over time a little bit. It definitely wasn't interesting. Yeah, yeah,
They went from folk rock to psychedelic rock to country
yeah,
rock to
yeah.
whatever the hell Bird Maniacs was.
Uh huh.
I don't know. They did a lot. They did like I feel like the Birds did a lot of right, but the same thing they did a lot wrong at the same time. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. A lot of radio hits. I mean, the fact that they had so many hits just shows you in a matter of 5 albums just shows you how great they were. Uh, I mean, the only two songs that I really don't like is Patterns off of Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, Thyme, that weird song, and Voices of Old People. Those are the only two songs that I skip.
Yeah.
And I mean, some artists wish they could have just two songs that you could
Right.
skip.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I could name a bunch of bird songs that was just like no, just no. But yeah, yeah, there's a very short retrospective, but yeah, they did a lot of
Yeah.
right and wrong. I agree. He is very underrated in terms of guitar playing. I mean, he's no Jeff Beck, he's no Hendrix, he's no
Right.
Alex Lifeson.
Right.
But I mean, to be fair, those are like different. Like
Yeah.
at this point, that's just very different, like guitar playing at that point. But Yeah, very great guitarist, and yeah, that's all I got to say too. Um,
Yeah.
cool. Um, as for our top 10, we'll go back and forth. Jason does 10, I do not 10. He does 9, I do 9, and then once we get to our top two, after our top two, Jason, if you have any honorable mentions, you could say your honorable mention. Same with me, and then we'll do our number one. But what's your top? What's your number 10?
My number 10, I went with 59th Brick Song, I believe is the name of the song. uh, parentheses, Feeling Groovy is what I know it as. um, yeah, it's obviously it's a hit song for them. It's such a great laid back song. Uh, it's one that's just so, yeah, fun and soothing to listen to.
That's a great song. I mean, so many great songs. Like, it's crazy. That song's so great, but it's not even on my top 10.
Yeah, sure.
It just that's how many great songs they are.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hey,
Hey, what's
Brian.
up, Tyler? Yeah, me and you tomorrow, Brian. We're doing our Mamas and Papas retrospective slash
Uh,
top slash album ranking. So get two retrospectives and
yeah.
get two videos. Uh, yeah, Simon and Garfunkel. My number 10 is a song that I forgot what Brian had to say, but I know you weren't as crazy about it on Bridge Over Troubled Water, and it was Why Don't You Write Me?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's because I sort of like the reggae music, but I don't know. I just really like it. It's very it's weird. It's just a weird song. I actually
Mhm.
kind of like it. It's very interesting. I can see why you aren't into it as much. It is very weird, but it's
Yeah.
like kind of weird that I could get into. The lyrics are very dark, like I mentioned in our review. It's almost as dark as this Richard Corey with the and the Most Peculiar Man. But yeah, it's really good. Very, very good.
All right. Number 9, I'm going with I Am a Rock. Another classic Simon Garfunkel hit. I think it was an early one, too. I think it's off one of their early albums, if I remember right. Maybe Sound of Silence, I think maybe it was off of.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it originated off of this album.
oh, did it? Okay. But yeah, it's another. I love the lyrics of it. I am a rock feels no pain, an island never cries. You know, I know, and the guitar is so good on that. Dun 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 or whatever. Yeah, I love it.
That's another amazing song. Uh, my number 9 is going to be also from the Sounds of Silence album. It's going to be Blessed. Uh,
Oh yeah,
I don't know why. I just really like their religious songs.
yeah,
Whether it be rated by Simon himself or it be cover. I don't know. They just had really good religious songs, and this one's actually really good. I know a lot of people throw it off as just a filler track, but I've always liked this song. Their harmonies are great. I love Simon's sort of spoken word sections in the songs. It feels like feels like if I'm like if I ever go to church and like if like Simon and Garfunkel were to be there, like if they had like music, like if they were like, hey, before we get our Sunday church thing going, let's hear Simon and Garfunkel sing a couple of religious songs and then like church songs and then like them sing like blessed. I'm just like I don't know, it's weird. I, it's probably weird what I just said, but I don't know. Really like the song.
that's cool. I like that. Um, Number 8, I have Scarborough Fair slash Canticle, I guess, is what it says on the. Um, I believe that came off with Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme album. Maybe one of the first songs on that album, and it's just some of the best harmonies I've ever heard in a song. Like, and just vocally, it's just an amazing song. When they go off and they're different, you know, him singing this and him singing this at the same time. Like, I love that when they do that, and it all kind of sinks in together.
That's a great song. You know, what annoys me about the Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme album, well, I'll go more to it, but they have such an amazing song like that, and then like right after you have like patterns, and I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
I'll go more into it. Just like I'll go more into it, but yeah, that's an amazing song. My number eight is another religious song, and it's from their first album. And it's, weirdly enough, it's the only song off their first album that's on my top 10. Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. And that's "Don't Tell It on the Mountain." I love how
Okay.
like joyous it is.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ was born. I don't know. It's
Good
a really
hymn.
good song. I just feel so happy when listening to it. Like you
Yeah.
know, chosen one is born. Joyous, be told. I've always loved that. I love how happy spirited it is. Some of the songs on their first album, especially their second album, is very dark. So I love this bright, happy go lucky song, especially after a song like Sounds of Silence. Well, it wasn't right after it, but you have songs like Sounds of Silence, like almost depressing, and then you have like Go Tell It on the Mountain, which is very happy go lucky and happy.
Yeah.
And I love that. Very love this song.
That's cool. I like that. Um, Number seven, I'm going with the big one on this one. Uh, it's probably their most acclaimed song, and it's "Bridge Over Troubled Waters." um, Obviously, song of the year off of their big album, and of course, it's great melody, great piano, great Garfunkle vocals. He really uses his tenor voice, which he has such a great tenor voice. That's what I love about Simon Garfunkel's hitting more of the high notes on those, and it's just a really nice, uplifting song. I would say my only criticism of it's a little slow moving at times, but yeah, it's beautiful. So I had to have it on my top 10.
That's a wonderful song. Uh, that's nearly just an honorable mention for me, sadly.
Mm.
My number six is it's this interesting song off of this album, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, Thyme. It's a song called "A Simple Desultory Prolific," or how I was, or how I was Robert McNormand into submission. It's such a weird song name.
Yeah.
Basically, it's their. Oh, no, that's my number six. My number seven. That's what I meant to do. Still off of this album, "Homeward Bound."
Oh,
Sorry,
good. Good. Okay.
that's actually I have a couple of big hits on here. Oh, actually three. Homeward Bound. I mean, their harmonies are just fantastic. I've heard other people try to cover it, but to me, it's
Mhm.
not as good as the original.
Yeah.
Or well, some people might be like some people in the UK are probably like, "Hey, isn't that on the Sounds of Silence album?" And you'd be correct. Actually, on the original UK Sounds of Silence album.
Oh, really?
Fun. Yeah, yeah, it's 12 songs. The only thing is that on this album, on the UK version, it doesn't have it. So
Huh.
yeah, the way I look at it is, if you're not into Sounds of Silence, then listen to the UK version with Homeward Bound. But if you're not into this album that much, add Homeward Bound to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Add a great song to whichever album you choose. Uh, but yeah, that's a great song, number seven.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, Number six for me is Cecilia off of Bridge Over Troubled Waters. No song off that album. It's to me the most fun, upbeat song that they have, and it's just a blast of a song. It's just from finish to start to finish. It's just at a really great pace, and it just sounds like they're having a lot of fun in that album or on that song, and it's definitely one I love listening to over and over. There we got Cat.
Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah, I know. Stage diving. But yeah, it's a great song, Cecilia. I'm not gonna tell you where it's on my top 10, but it's on there. Uh, my number six is gotta say the song again. A simple desultory flippic, or how is Robert McNormand into submission. This
Huh.
this time
Yeah.
it is for you in my list. Well, I have it right this time. It's a very fun Bob Dylan esque song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fun song. Just like him basically like I wouldn't say making fun of Bob Dylan, but him just playing like a Bob Dylan like
Yeah.
thing. Uh, I love the part where he's like, "I knew his man's his brains were small, couldn't think nothing at all." And then like the callback to the "Everybody Gets Stoned" was like, "Everybody must get stoned." It's just
Yeah.
a fun song. I love it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
some people might be like, "What the heck is this song?" But I
Right.
love
It's
it.
a little different.
Very different. Kitty.
Of course, Briar is gonna he's gonna get excited. Cat.
Nah, he's a little too big to be, very big. He's very big to be. He's a full grown cat.
All right, number 5 is an absolute classic. I think maybe I almost want to say the most well-known song, at least for me growing up, was Mrs. Robinson. Um, in fact, it's funny. Last night, when I go to bed, a lot of times I put I put my Spotify on, and I put it on I put it on some kind of playlist. And after the playlist is over, it just starts playing music that it thinks I like. I guess somehow based on what I listen to. And Mrs. Robinson came on this morning when I just woke up, and I was listening to Mrs. Robinson on my phone, Spotify, and I was like, oh, Mrs. Robinson, like I was like, I'm gonna talk about this song today, and it's just absolutely another fantastic, like just upbeat, fun song. Um, um, I love when they don't even sing lyrics, when they just like do 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 do, and you're like, wow, I love that. um, and it's such, I don't know, so iconic to me. And I mean, the harmonies, the vocals, the guitar is so good too. There's a lot of really guitar stuff in here that I'm real impressed with, and yeah, I listened to it a million times and I still love it.
Funny enough, well, this is the first song that I put on my list. That's from Bookends. That is also Mrs. Robinson.
Really?
Yes, love this song. It's another sort of, well, not heavily, but like with the Jesus loves you more than you will know.
Yeah.
It's oh, it's so iconic for a reason. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a great song. Definitely gets you. I was in The Graduate. Yeah, it's just it's an amazing song. Very I don't know a whole lot to say. You basically said it perfectly. But yeah, it's a fantastic song. Number 5, Mrs. Robinson.
All right. Number 4, I'm gonna go with the song that you mentioned already, and that is Homeward Bound at number 4. Like I said, it's the harmonies are just fantastic. I love the lyrics about, kind of longing for home, kind of, or wishing to be home. I always love those kind of songs that kind of have that kind of lyrics in it. And I get it, if you're on the road a lot, you probably think about home or whatever, and and all that. And yeah, just fantastic chorus, home where my thoughts escaping home. It's just every time I get to that, it's so great.
It's a fantastic song. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad it's on the list. My number 4 is another song off of this, and that is A Hazy Shade of Winter. Uh, what an amazing song that is. Very fun. I mean, where songs are like they're probably their funnest songs. In my opinion, that is. But yeah, the way that they harmonize. I'm not the biggest fan of the cover. That would become more famous, but that's just my
Hmm.
opinion. Probably more familiar with
Yeah.
this version. The cover's good. Yeah, it's such a fun song. I love it so much. Yeah, and number 4, Hazy of Winter.
Number 3, I got my favorite song off of Bookends, and that is America. Um, it's just fantastic acoustic guitar playing by Paul Simon, the kind of picking pattern he does, and of course, yeah, once you get that chorus, great harmonies there, and lyrically, it's just an interesting song. I always find it interesting every time I hear it and talk about uh, the guy with the bow tie might be a camera. I always find that interesting. I don't quite get what's going on. It's just like random like thoughts or something, uh, but yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic song.
That's fantastic. Three is another song from Bookends. It's going to be "Faking It," the opener to the second side.
Okay.
Very good single. I think it's underrated compared to the other singles off of Bookends. Uh, I mean, that doesn't mean I don't like it at all. I mean, the other two songs were on my list, Hazy Shea Wayne and Mr. Robinson. So I should tell you, I love the singles too. The other two singles
Yeah.
that would become more popular, but I mean, telling by how it is on my list, I do prefer Faking It. But yeah, this is a fantastic song. I think it just shows how Simon was at the time. But yeah, this is fantastic. Number three, Faking It.
All right. Number two, going with the big one, my favorite song off of Bridge Over Troubled Waters, and that is The Boxer. I think considered one of their greats by many people, and I agree. And uh, again, probably might be my favorite. Well, it's one of my favorite lyrical songs. I say that about every song, but I absolutely love the story kind of telling of the boxer and kind of the trouble he's kind of in. You know, he's uh, lonely. He's having trouble being a boxer, I guess, and kind of failures and all this, and then you get that lie, the lie, lie, the lie, 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 the lie. Like the lie, the lies is maybe the best part of the whole song. It's not even lyrical; it's just them singing in harmonies. But yeah, it's one of the greats. Like I say, of all the songs, it's just fantastic. Everything I love about Simon Garfunkel is in there.
Great number two. My number two is going to be Cecilia
Oh
from
wow,
the Virginia Water album.
yeah.
Yep. Is that how on my list? It's oh man, I love Cecilia. You know, I love the weird intro with the boom, 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 boom. Celia, you're breaking my heart. It's just I literally sing that song, and then my favorite part of the song is when they're like jubilation. She loves
Hmm.
me again. That's just I don't know. I've always loved that part. I mean, I love the whole song. So Cecilia, number two. Man,
Uh,
fantastic.
that's
Uh,
great.
any honorable mentions that weren't didn't make it in your top 10?
Yeah, a couple that I think of that definitely were in consideration. Uh, Keep the customer satisfied. Definitely love that off of Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Also love The Only Living Boy in New York. I think it's a fantastic song. I really like Kathy's song. I think that's a real standout. Almost not a big hit, really, but a kind of hidden gem. All those aren't big hits, but they're just they're still great songs. You said Hazy Shade of Winter or whatever is a good one as well. Um, that's all I got really on top of my mind that I probably came close to getting those in there, but couldn't quite get them in.
Okay, so my five. I only limited myself to five because I thought of so many, but I had to limit myself.
Yeah.
This isn't any particular order either. Richard Corey from Sounds of Silence, America from Bookends,
Hmm.
Bridge Over Troubled Water from Bridge Over Troubled Water,
Yeah.
The Boxer from Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Sounds of Silence from Wednesday morning 3 a.m. That version.
Ever.
I gotta specify that because
Yeah, you do.
I know what your number one is, and I know which version it is.
All right. So I'm gonna go with my number one. Number one is their first big hit, basically, and that is the Sounds of Silence. I still go back to that song. Maybe I say Mrs. Robinson. Maybe I say Mrs. Robinson and the Sound of Silence. Maybe are the two songs I first heard when I was a kid, you know, first listening to oldies stations. And as far as Simon Garfunkel goes, those are probably two songs I think of probably the most, in a sense, that I feel like they were just played a lot on the radio. And a good reason. Sound of Silence, it's just absolutely amazing. Of course, I like the version off of the Sound of Silence album more than the one on Wednesday morning 3 a.m. But that's a good that version's good too. I like both versions. I'm just used to, I guess, the one on the second album. Add a little bit, added that little guitar in there I kind of like, and I like it. It starts off, I think, just kind of simple, and then they add in the other instruments, which I like when people do that. But the harmonies are just absolutely fantastic. I mean, yeah. Why do you like Simon Garfunkel? You listen to the song, it's like, oh, I just absolutely love their vocals together. That's why they're just perfect. It's like you know, Paul McCartney and John Lennon, you know, and others. You know, it's like their voices just work so well together, and the songwriting is just absolutely fantastic. I remember I read a biography on Paul Simon some years ago, and it talked about like Paul Simon's dad was a musician, I think, of some kind, and so he's kind of around music growing up, I believe. And he wrote the song when he was fairly young, I think, if I remember right. I don't know if he was a teenager or, but he wrote this song, and you're thinking, how does someone that young write a song so sophisticated sounding, you know? And he wrote the song and he played it for his dad, and his dad was like, "You wrote that?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I can't believe it. Like, how did you write something like that?" You know, and that's the way I feel like, wow, that is amazing how he wrote something so good at such a young age, you know. And the I said this before, but I still think like my favorite first line of any song is "Hello, darkness, my old friend." I just absolutely love that lyric, and it's a great intro into the song. And then stuff like, you know, like a silence like a cancer grows. It's just, and the song kind of crescendos a little bit. It starts a little bit soft, and then it kind of gets a little bit louder towards the end, and it just perfectly arranged song, and it's one of my favorite songs of the 1960s, I would say.
Oh, God. I'm more used to the, of course, the Wednesday morning 3 a.m. version. So when I heard the one that you're referring to, it was like very weird, but it's kind of felt it was like for you, like with you when you first heard it, it was like, oh, where's the other stuff? And then for me, I'm like, whoa, what's with all this stuff?
What's with all
It's
this?
funny. What's with all this? But that's funny. Um, my number one's gonna be keep the customer satisfied. Mentioned it as an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I always said this a bunch of times, but it's my all-time favorite Simon Garfunkel song. It has that Cecilia vibe, but like
Yeah.
when I first heard it, it's like that. But then like the orchestration, and then just the way it ends is just like when I first heard that song, I'm like, this is the greatest Simon Garfunkel song I've ever heard. This is like when I first got into Bridge Over Troubled Water. I'm just like, whoa, this might be the best song I've ever heard by them. And I'm like, I got to listen to more of their albums and all that. Maybe like maybe I'm just overreacting, but nope. Still holds up to this day. Favorite Simon Garfunkel song from Bridge Over the Water. Keep the customer satisfied.
It's a great song if no one's ever heard it before, maybe because it's not a radio hit. It's definitely one that you
Yeah,
hear and you go, this is a great song that I've never, you know, heard of, kind of. For me, it
yeah.
was.
It was for me too. I'm like, why is this not on most of their greatest hits albums? Like, what the heck,
Right.
man?
Yeah.
This is good. Oh man. Of course, our top 10. Jason's gonna do his number five album. I'm gonna do my number five album, and obviously we're gonna keep going down until we get to number one. So,
Yeah.
Jason, what's your least favorite Simon Garfunkel album?
Yeah. This changed from the last time I did the ranking. And I don't know, listening to this last time, this is going to be a shocker kind of to a lot of people, probably, because this is probably like number two on everybody's list. But number five for me is Bookends. And I know like that's probably their second most famous album. And it's one everybody talks about. It's one that's on anybody's list. And it's not a bad album. I think all the albums are Um, you know, like eight and above, 8 out of 10 and above. Uh, I mean, the top album is a 10 out of 10, and the bottom is probably like, I forget what I gave it, like an 8 out of 10 maybe, or so, I don't know. So that's still good to me. That's still a good album. Like, I still like it. It has two absolutely amazing songs on it, Mrs. Robinson and America, I believe. And it has some other okay songs, but just to me, there's more songs that I didn't care about on this one than the other ones. When I went through them, uh, I was like, wow, there's just some songs I didn't like that much. And of course, it has the worst song, I think, in the discography, Talking to Old People, whatever, which kind of hurt the album, I think.
Yeah, I don't blame you. My number five is going to actually also be very controversial. Don't worry. Some people might be like, oh, he's going to put Bridge Over Troubled Water at number five. Don't worry. It's not there.
No,
Uh,
no.
don't worry about that. My number five, some people would be like, oh, that's at number five. What the heck?
Yeah.
Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme.
Mm.
I sort of addressed it earlier in the video, how I felt about it. Like, it starts off with an amazing song like Scarborough Fair. Right? I just call it Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, the title track, because that's what I consider.
Pretty
Then
much.
there's a song, then there's just a section of the album just not that crazy on, Patterns and Cloudy. I'm just like, really? Like, yeah, that great song, and then you have these two songs to follow it up. I'm like, really? That like, I'm not. It's not a bad album at all, but I'm just like, it's a head scratcher, especially Patterns. I'm just like, really? I don't know if you remember that song, Jason. Patterns, that
Top of
weird
my
song.
head.
I remember us both saying we weren't crazy about it, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, Patterns and Cloudy. I'm just like, oh, really?
I think that
After
might have been
Scarborough, yeah, I think it was our least favorite. I'm
I
just
think
like,
so.
after Scarborough Fair, yeah, Patterns and Cloudy. I'm like, you serious? But it does get better. Homeward Bound is much better than those last two tracks. Uh, Big Bright Green Pleasure Machine's really good. 59th Street Bridge song's great.
Yeah.
The entirety of the second side's amazing. It's
Mm.
just, I don't know, big reason why it's the bottom of my list. Before it was Sounds of Silence. I remember when we did our ranking, that was on our bottom. But after us
Yeah.
reviewing that album again, and
Yeah.
just me looking at those two songs and just like, oh, that just that, that lowers the quality of the album in my opinion, and that's the reason why it's so low. I mean, it's only five albums, but still, some people might be like, "Oh, it's their best album," but I don't know. Those two songs ruin it.
All right. Basically, for my last time I ranked these, I think these two albums kind of switched. I think I had this album. I did have this album in fifth place, and I kind of switched with Bookends this time. And so number 4 is Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., which is their first album, and well, it's a good album. I still really enjoy the album. I think still consistently great harmonies, and it's, I mean, it's different in that there's not a lot of Paul Simon written songs. It seems like there's a lot more covers on the first album. And so you hate to see all the covers when you got one of the great songwriters on there. I think the songs get better when they're written by Paul Simon. It's definitely an interesting. It's definitely more. What I say, it has more of this gospel folk like sound to it. It's not quite the. I think it's different than the other albums are a little more folk rock style. This one's definitely got a little bit different style. It's very acoustic. Obviously, you got the Sound of Silence, which is the acoustic form of it, which is obviously a great song. And Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. I think I really quite enjoy that song. And like I said, the religious songs are actually really good. Go Tell on the Mountain, and I remember there's another religious song on there I think I really enjoyed. Um, and yeah, they still sound great together, so it's still a good album. But it's at number 4.
Yeah, that's a great, yeah, great album. I mean, yeah, I can see why it's number four. My number four is to be Sounds of Silence. Keep in mind, I couldn't find my record, so this isn't the Sound of Silence, but let's just pretend it is because there are songs that are on Sound of Silence that were recorded on this album originally. So, mm, uh, I mean, a lot of great songs on it. I Am the Rock, I Am a Rock. Um, of course, Most Peculiar Man, I really enjoy. Richard Corey. Um, Kathy's song's amazing. Of course, it's just there's just a lot of good songs on it. Yeah, and of course the hit song "Sounds of Silence." Can't talk about the album without talking about the title track. But yeah, great song, great album. It's just I don't know if it's a rush job compared to their first
Yeah.
album and the ones that came after it. That's why it's a little lower. I will say some of the songs are a lot better than the ones on the next on Wednesday morning 3 a.m. But there are songs. There's a song called Angie. And it's like an instrumental version of a song that came before it. And
Yeah.
then there's that, and it's 11 songs, and I don't know. It's just not quite as good as these top three, in my opinion, of course. Of course, Sounds of
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah. I mean, I can't blame anybody for whatever. I mean, my number one, I think, should be either one or two on anybody's list, but the other
I
four, I think, could go in any order, to be honest, but for anybody. But number three, I'm going with The Sound of Silence. Yeah, number four, I guess. And yeah, the second album, I think just, yeah, of course, when I compare it to Wednesday Morning 3 a.m., it just has some of their bigger hits on it, and that's what elevates the album. I mean, you got my favorite song on it, Sounds of Silence, that version. Uh, plus, I'm a Rock was in my top 10, and then Kathy's Song was an honorable mention for me. I think absolutely fantastic song. So it does have some really strong songs on there, and overall, I think even the not so good song, or not even the weaker songs, I should say, or even not bad, I think are actually decent. I think I gave the album like a 9 out of 10. I mean, I gave it fairly high score, and it's not even the strongest stuff, but it's still a very good album.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number three is gonna be Wednesday morning 3 a.m. As you can tell, the album cover is mostly this
Yeah,
cover with my arm offside with Garfunkle. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I definitely agree. One, it was my number two originally when we did our Simon Garfunkel video. One reason why it's a little lower now, but not quite the bottom is well, one, I have a little more connection towards it, and I don't know, none of the songs in here are bad at all. Like none of them get as low as Angie or nearly as bad as Patterns and Cloudy, but yeah, this is really good stuff. You can see the world. I love their folky gospel stuff. Very interesting. Bleecker Street, very good. Sparrow, great. Sounds of Silence, my favorite version. Uh, he was my brother, was amazing.
yeah,
Go Tell It on the Mountains on my top 10, so it's great. Wednesday morning 3 a.m. The title track's amazing, but all these songs are great, whether it be the originals or the covers. All great.
all right. Number two for me, it's interesting. I think my number two is your number five, and your number two is my number five. I think we switched those somehow. Interesting. So I really enjoyed Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. I think it's an absolutely fantastic album. I think I gave it like a 9.5 out of 10, so I give it a really strong score. Um, and like, yeah, Scarborough Fair is absolutely amazing. It's in my top 10. And it's just a great start to the album, hearing those great harmonies. And then, uh, what do you say, Homeward Bound is on there. It's really high on my list. Really great song. And what would you say? Kathy's Song, was that on there? What was the other one?
Let me check the track list. This is my least listen to album. Kathy's song is on
Yeah,
Sounds of Silence.
that sounds okay. That's a good song. Sound Silence. um,
Uh,
what
59 Trees,
59
you like?
Bridge song. That's it, right? Is that it? Yeah, yeah, that's
Mhm.
on there. That's a great song. That's another top. So there's like three top 10 songs on there for me. And I like Cloudy. I think that's actually one of my favorite songs on the album, from what I remember. So that's interesting. Patterns. I think that was a song I didn't like. I remember now, but um, overall, yeah, just great songs all throughout. I don't know. I liked it a little bit more. uh, Again, just them at their best. I think as far as harmonies and songwriting and all that. So it's number two.
Yeah, besides our number ones, everything's like switched. Like
Yeah,
my number
everything.
five is number two. My number two is your number five.
Yeah,
My number four is your number three. My number three is your number four. It's
yeah,
everything switched around, but then number one, it's like we can both agree on, which I'm glad, of course. Uh, I mean, it's not controversial or unpopular, but you know, my number two. He said it already. This is most people's second favorite, if not favorite. This is my second favorite. Mostly, I mean, there are a lot of songs that help on this album. I mean, three of these songs are on my top 10. Well, most of them are on the, I mean, all three of them are on the second side of the record. Um, but yeah, the only thing that's stopping this from being my favorite is Voices of Old People. I'm gonna be serious with that. The instrumental "Going to Save the Life of My Child" I love. America is a brilliant song. Overs is very dark and haunting, and I love it. Uh, Voice of Old People Could Die. Uh, Old Friends is amazing, and that goes into the actual bookends theme. I will agree with Jason that it should have been a little longer. I think he
yeah,
mentioned that we'll dispute it.
yeah,
I will agree it should have been a little longer. It does
yeah.
end on shortly. But then the second side of the record, Faking It, it's in my top 10. Punky's Dilemma isn't in my top 10, but it's amazing. Mrs. Robinson and Hazy Shade of Winter, those two are my top 10 for a
Yeah.
reason. Then at the Zoo, man, that song's amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's my top. That's my second favorite Simon and Garfunkel album.
All right. So both of us have number one is Bridge Over Troubled Waters. uh, yeah, it's I don't know. How can it not be number one? It feels like. I mean, maybe some people would put something else, but I think most people put this number one. It was their biggest album. It was album of the year, 1970. It's definitely the cream. It's the last album. It was like their grand finale of their career, and it's like what a great grand finale. I gave it a 10 out of 10 on my review, and it has three of my favorite songs of all time: the Boxer, Cecilia, and Bridge over Troubled Waters are all in my top 10. With the Boxer being number two on my list, and then Keep the Customer Satisfied and The Only Living Boy in New York are just on my honorable mentions. They were so good they could almost make it to my top 10. And then you still got like I still like a lot of the other stuff like the Lloyd Wright song. Actually, quite enjoy and um, was it the Baby Driver was on there.
Yeah, Baby Driver. I like
Yeah,
Baby Driver.
even the lesser known songs I thought were actually quite good, except for I think the song that you had in your top 10 was my least favorite.
Oh,
The
Why Don't You
right
Write Me?
whatever, write 'em whatever.
Uh,
um, but still, it's a fantastic album with some of their best material, I think. And yeah, if they stayed together, man, they could have made more great albums, I'm sure, in the '70s.
yeah, yeah. I wish they would have made more albums in the '70s
Yeah.
because I don't know. They were at their peak and then they left. I don't know. Always thought that was weird.
Well, it's interesting. I just did a police deep dive, and someone mentioned that on when I put that on Reactions to Classics, their channel, whatever, and someone said they were at their peak and they stopped, and I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Like the Beatles did it, the Police did it, Simon Garfunkel did it. It's interesting when a band does that. Like, oh, here's one of our best, and we're out.
But yeah, I don't watch them anymore. Me and Garrett don't go on that channel at all anymore. I have
Yeah,
my reasons. He has his reasons, but I'm not. I
yeah.
don't want
I post stuff on their, what do you call it, their
to. Oh yeah, yeah. We watched.
Facebook.
We watched. We watched. What's it called? You asked me for the four most songs.
Yeah, yeah.
Girls, girls. So stupid. Tracy Action was like, "What the heck is it?"
What the heck is this?
It's hard to believe they're a Liverpool band. Hard to believe that. Like the Beatles were. My number one. I mean, if you weren't counting properly, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Um, I mean, title track, Condor Pasa. It's amazing. I didn't mention that one.
That's another good one. Yeah, yeah,
Celia is amazing. It's in my top 10, so hopefully I would think it's amazing. It's my second favorite song. Keep the
yeah.
Customer Satisfied, still my favorite. So Long Creek Led Right, I wasn't crazy about it first for a while now, but I'm starting to like it more now. The Boxer's amazing. Baby Driver's really good. The Only Living Boy in New York is, man, that song's amazing.
Yeah,
Why Don't You Write Me? Love that song.
yeah.
Back I Love, very weird song with live track in the studio album. Uh, yeah, and so Song for the Asking is a decent but not perfect
Yeah,
way to end off their catalog.
yeah.
It's a good song on its own, but yeah, I wish it would have ended off on a better song.
Me too. Yeah, I think I said that as well.
Like it would have been better to end off on the Only Living Boy in New York. That would have been.
I think that's what I said. Yeah,
Oh, imagine that song with their harmonizing at the end. Oh man. But that,
yeah.
that that doesn't take it away from this album. It's still a 10 out of 10. I still love this album to death. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I always like when an album. I now when you listen to. Oh, it's interesting when you listen to like vinyl, and you really pay attention to the first song that you listen to and the last song you listen to before you have to flip it over, and then you listen to the first song. I don't know. It kind of makes a difference than just listening to on Spotify. I don't really pay attention to, you know, you don't pay attention to what's the last song on side A. um, but when you get like, this is a tangent, but when you listen to like Pet Sounds, like I forget, it starts on like one of their best songs on side A, and then ends with like one of their best songs on side A, and then same thing on side B. It begins like my four favorite songs are like the ends of each side, and I was like, I love how they did that. Like, I'm like, you start me off loving it, and then you end it with me loving it. Are you on mute?
Ian, crap. How's my internet?
I'm starting to hear you now, and you're moving.
Uh, oh, yeah, it's pretty bad. Hate the fact that it's that be like that at the end of the video. Gosh darn it. Uh,
Yeah.
1 second.
yeah, what can you say? Simon Garfunkel, one of the greatest duos of all time. Absolutely fantastic 5 albums. Definitely want to get all of them in my list at some point. I've got Bridge Over Troubled Waters on CD. Is the only thing I've gotten so far. Definitely want to get the other 4 at some point. Yeah, as I said, yeah, I do love when they end on a good song. Like, oh, you're back.
Am I good?
Yeah, it's a little slow moving, but
Hold on.
it's better.
Okay. Uh, well, it's weird. I want to say one thing. Hold on. This one's right. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Stay tuned. Me and Jason will be covering the Kinks discography from very first album, 1964, Kinks, all the way to their 1993 album, Phobia. So stay tuned. Very excited to go through that because they're definitely one of my all-time favorite bands of all time. Me, Jason, and Garrett are going to be on his channel, on Jason's channel. We're going to be doing a part 2 to 50 inducted Hall of Fame people. Part 1 was with Adam and Breyer, and
yeah.
Jason's first 5. And me, Garrett, could share our 10, and Jason will share his other 5. Very excited for that. First video was very excited to go through. Hopefully, Jason's internet will be clear, just like mine. Hopefully, my internet will
I
be
hope
good
so.
by then, because wouldn't want 2 people to be cutting in and out. That'd be horrible. And then Garrett would just be like,
To be honest,
"Bye, guys." Should be my top 10. That'd be funny. But thank you guys for watching this video. For like I said, staying tuned for the Kinks. And go on Jason's channel and subscribe to him if you have not. Very great YouTuber. But thank you guys so much. So long.